This week we're doing something a little bit different. We are teaching the kids what the sword and sorcery genre really is. And we have a special guest. Tyler Chin Tanner is with us. He's going to talk about his comic book series, The Orphan King. It's a fun episode, so hang on and enjoy the ride. Okay, I'm the geeky dad, Raphael Moran, and I'm here with the Multiverse Kids.
Ariana, 9 years old. Rayon, 6 years old.
And you are what? The Multiverse Kids?
The Multiverse Kids!
Okay.
And we're in the multiversal chamber.
You know, you guys always say that you know about every little genre of stories and...
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and
We do.
every different franchise that they have out there.
Franchise?
You know, you got like Marvel, you got DC.
Oh, you mean universes?
Basically.
That's a franchise.
That's what it's called.
It's a universe. Not a
That's why
franchise.
I call the Multiverse Kids.
I understand. Now, you guys never talk about sword and sorcery type of stories.
Wait, what?
Do you know what sword and sorcery mean?
Wait, like fairy tales, like stuff like He-Man.
Fairy tales.
I mean, He-Man, I guess you can count as a...
And that's sorcery. And that's a sword.
But is not set in the past.
Oh.
Yes.
I think like sword and sorcery is like magical.
Magic and like swords and people fighting with swords.
We talked
I mean,
about He-Man.
yeah, but I don't think that counts.
Yes, it does. It has swords. It has sorcery. It has
It's in a
magic.
different universe.
It has
Has technology though.
So what?
Yeah, I'm talking about something in the past, like
Oh.
like
It's in the past.
like you know, King Arthur stuff. Yes.
No. It's like Star Wars based in the past.
Yeah, but they have a lot of technology.
That's because they're aliens.
Yeah, I'm talking about something less technological.
Like Boba
Okay,
Fett?
I don't know what happened to me when I said that.
Like Boba Fett?
No.
He has
No.
no technology.
He does have technology.
What?
Jetpack.
No. Mando
Guns.
doesn't.
Guns.
Mando doesn't?
I'm talking about something set in the past. Like, you know, like Lord of the Rings,
I don't know what Lord of the Rings is.
You were set in the past?
The Hobbit.
What's a Hobbit?
Oh my god. You don't know Dungeons and Dragons?
Wait,
Oh yeah, I know that.
I know one. Karate Kid.
Yeah.
I know about Dungeons and Dragons. It's in some of the books. It's like there's this dungeon master, and then there's 4 different races. There's a human, elf, then there's something. I forgot.
Yeah. That's what Lord of the Rings is too. Yeah.
There was a fighter, a wizard, a cleric, and a thief.
Yeah. Those are called role-playing games.
What?
Like you take a role in the game and you play. You know, just like in Hawkeye, you saw the LARPers. Remember the LARPer?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they do it in real life. Okay? So, in this episode, we're going to have you, Ariana, review a sword and sorcery comic book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what about Ram?
No. He's not going to be able to read that book. He's too small for that book. This is for you. Rand, get the hell out of here.
Hey.
We don't need you.
I'm like the first main character.
No, he is. He's a geeky dad. It's called the Geeky Dad Podcast.
As we have our own channel.
I mean, you got a point.
And guess what? You're not in this episode. Get out of here. Yeah, we got Ariana to review the new book, Orphan King. Now, you've read sword and sorcery stuff before. You've read, like, books with King Arthur and stuff like
I
that.
haven't read books with King Arthur.
Yeah, the Magic Treehouse.
Oh, yeah. I have almost all the series.
I read Magic
Hey! Why are you back? Get out of here. Anyhow, you haven't read any comic book like this before, right?
Yeah, because the Magic Treehouse isn't really
I'm not talking about the Magic Treehouse.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about the Orphan King. Most comic books you're reading don't have this, right?
It's adventure with heroes.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of comic book related TV shows out there. But everything's all superhero. Why don't we ever see like a show, for kids where it's like, it's set in the past and they're fighting with swords and stuff, Why don't we see that? Would you like to see that?
Yeah, I like swords.
Yeah. They should probably use this comic book and adapt it into a TV show.
That's going to take a long time.
Yeah. Anyhow, we'll be right back with our review. This week, we review a comic book series called The
Orphan King.
Yes, Ariana is going to be doing the review and talking about the book. Now, what is Orphan King about?
Well, the Orphan King, he gets sent to a different island than his regular hometown with his aunt, and when he comes back, he's all grown up, and he sees his whole family, it's gone. Everything is like a wreck.
Yeah, the whole kingdom has been just destroyed, basically.
Yeah, and there's these outlaws, like Robin Hood. And they're these knights, and they're like the bad guys.
Yeah, and they're trying to kill the little Orphan King, right?
Yeah,
because he is the rightful king if the king is dead, basically.
Yeah, because he's a prince.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like King Arthur. I guess it's a little bit like He-Man too, right?
Yeah, and he has this sword, this royal sword, and then he also gets a small knife from the outlaws.
Yeah. This book is written by Tyler Chin Tanner, and the art is also very, very wonderful. You like the art on the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. James Boyle did some really wonderful covers for each of the issues. Did you like the covers?
Yeah, it looked cool.
Yeah, they have nice design to them. By the way, are you used to reading swords and sorcery type of stories?
Comic books?
No, just swords, like stories with swords and magic.
Yeah.
And monsters.
Yeah.
What type of books do you read, or movies, or anything like that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
No. So why did you say yes?
Because I know that I read some.
But you can't remember any?
No, yeah. That's exactly.
I mean, you've read the Narnia books, no?
No.
No?
No.
I mean, I don't know if Harry Potter counts.
Yes, it does.
I mean, yeah, he does have a sword at one point, right?
Yeah, in the Chamber of Secrets, I saw all of the movies, but I'm only up to the Goblet of Fire in the book.
Right. I mean, I guess you could say Legend of Zelda.
I don't read that.
That has swords and.
Yeah, but I don't read that.
I mean, that's your only experience with it, right?
Yeah, like Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Or, I mean, also, again, like I said, like He-Man is also like that. And,
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you could say Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have laser swords and magic.
Yeah.
And creatures.
Yeah.
But this book.
There's also Star Wars books.
Yeah, I mean, this book had some creatures in it too, right?
Yeah, like a giant owl thing.
Yeah, that was creepy.
that was not creepy.
Yeah, owls are creepy to me. How are you not creeped out by owls?
You think everything's creepy.
Their heads can spin around and in a circle.
Because its eyes can't move. It can only stay in one thing. So that's how they have to move their head around.
They're vicious. They eat like meat and like people if they're big
They're
enough.
nocturnal.
Yeah, that's even more scary. Like bats. You're not freaked out by that? No?
I am freaked out by bats.
Yeah, so you should be freaked out by owls too. And they go like woo, woo, woo.
No, it's ooh.
Oh, okay, yours is even more scary.
No, it isn't.
Anyhow, they also had some like rat things, like rat people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even more creepy to me. I don't like rats.
Me neither.
No.
At least they're not as creepy as bugs.
I mean, you don't know if the other books will have bug creatures.
No. Stop. That's creepy.
Yeah. I wonder if the sword is going to have any like magical properties. Huh? You think?
I think you're thinking about He-Man.
No, also like Excalibur. You ever read King
I
Arthur?
have. I never read it, but I saw the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of books based on King Arthur and
Like He-Man?
What?
Like He-Man?
I mean, I don't know. You know, but this is probably one of your first experiences with this genre of sword and sorcery, I think.
No.
No?
No.
In comic book form, right?
No.
You read it on the comic book like this.
Star Wars. There's Star Wars comic books.
Yeah, but not like this. This is kind of like in the past type of thing. That's more in like...
That's also in the past.
Oh.
It says, it always starts like a long time ago. Oh, in a far, 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 far away.
a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess.
a long time ago.
I guess. I mean, technically, we don't know if this is set in the past. Do we? It could be another planet,
Dimension.
you know.
Yeah.
So how do you want to rate this book?
4 thumbs up.
There's like, how many issues did you read?
5.
5 issues, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna be having the author of this book on the show today, and he's gonna tell us a little bit about the book, a little bit about himself, and a little bit about the future of the Orphan King. Are you excited about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So you're gonna say thumbs up. I'm gonna say thumbs up. The writing is cool. The characters are cool. The art is cool. And people get tired of like superheroes and comic books all the time. Try something else for a change. You know?
No.
I mean, no.
Fine.
Exactly. Try to stretch your imagination. Comic books can be any type of genre. It doesn't have to be superheroes. It could even be romantic. It could be comedic. It could be fantasy, sci-fi. Just 2 people talking in a room. Just like you and me. What? Yes.
It could be spooky and horror.
Yeah. It could be anything. So, if you're in the mood for a different type of comic book series, check out The Orphan King. All right? Today we are with Tyler Chin Tanner. Am I saying that name correctly, sir?
That was excellent. Good job.
We've been mutual friends on Facebook for a while, but we never really met face to face like this before. But the main reason I wanted you on this show was because you posted a video with your daughter.
Yes.
Yes. And this is what this show is all about. It's about fathers, sharing the things they love with their children. And I really love that video that you posted.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, is that our flipping through the vintage comics, the Fantastic Fours we've been going through. That just sort of happened fairly spontaneously. Um, and we've had experimented with different YouTube and this and that, but she was just hanging out in my office and I was looking through my old comics. And, I don't know. I mean, it's funny with the collectability of all these comics kind of coming to the forefront again. It just had me looking through my collection and sort of like thinking through, like, what am I doing with all these runs and things like that. And,
Yeah.
some of them I've been sending off to CGC just because you sort of feel like that's a good thing to do with your super valuable ones. But a lot of them, it's like, I'm not going to send these in. Like, I don't want to. The grades probably aren't so great. They're nice.
Yeah.
And I just started, well, I can flip through this one. And then I just started showing her, and we're like, why don't we record this? And we weren't even sure we'd post it. We just thought we would record it. And I put it on. And yeah, it's been super natural, which has been nice about it, because so many of these things that you do, you feel like you gotta have to, like, put on a face and to do a performance. And this was
Right.
like really just turned on the camera and
It was
looked
sweet. It was sweet. I
through the
like.
comic. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry if I'm just sort of taking all, I just took that and ran with it. But yeah, that was the origin of us doing that. And I love comics. I need, my parents didn't really get me into it, but I was just sort of started reading them off of the spinner rack,
Mm-hmm.
and found a comic shop nearby. And I was reading like the stuff that was coming out in the 80s, but I was also finding older issues,
Right.
70s, even 60s. And so yeah, part of my foundation was learning this these like early Marvel, especially
Right. So you were
before
a
I did it
Marvel
all.
guy, I'm assuming, growing up.
Definitely a little bit more. Yeah, when I started, I mean, what's funny, I would say actually the two superheroes that got me into comics the most were Spider-Man and Batman. So that's a little more even keel from the big two. But then I think with just like Hulk, Fantastic Four, even X-Men, it grew a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
in the Marvel universe. So that was always been my main universe. I never got too much into the, I don't know, Green Lantern or even Superman or that much. I don't know. I kind of
Right.
liked, I guess there's a little more grounded. Even Fantastic Four, that's like crazy. It's still sort of like the family and stuff. So that's what I liked the most.
So that love for comics is what made you want to do comics, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I didn't take the exact direct path. I had thought about it, but I mean, my parents weren't really creatives, and like they said, I mean, comics was sort of my own thing, so I didn't have a direct path. Um, I got into teaching for a little bit, and then from there, I just, it was while I was teaching abroad after teaching stateside for 4 years, that I was just like, I'm just going to go for it and apply to the Kubert School, not even quite sure
Mm-hmm.
what my path would be. Went there, which is a great place if you just sort of love the medium and are still want to figure out
Mm-hmm.
what side of it you want to get into. I think that's what people don't realize. So many people that come out of the Kubert School are go into production or this or that, different sides of it, not just all interior artists.
So
Because you learn all the nuts and bolts there.
mhm.
So
What did you
yeah,
major in when you went there?
they didn't have majors. I mean, you could choose animation over sequential art.
Mm-hmm.
But those are really the only two fields. It's like either get into the cartooning, sequential art type thing, or they had a small animation department, which some people got into. But yeah, I mean, the Kubert School is like a trade school. It's Joe Kubert and Adam and Andy and his son. So it's like, yeah, comics. Really felt like almost going into like 90s comics world.
Right. That's probably like the apex at that time, the 90s.
Yeah, it was funny. It was because when I went into teaching, it was right during that 90s period where I kind of moved away from comics um a little bit, just because of all like the bagged collectibles and the death of Superman and things like that. But then when I came back into it, it was just right after that, and like, a lot of good independent stuff, and we were doing a better job then. So yeah, it was a good period to get back into it. It was before it started booming again, like more
Mm-hmm.
recently. It's really been growing, but definitely we got back to basics at that point. So yeah, it's fun to go to the Kubert School at that time, and I think they've only just stepped up their game since then. So it's a cool school.
So you started your own publishing company, A
Hmm.
Wave Blue World, with
Yeah.
your wife, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she was my supportive, spouse, right? It was actually the same time that we got married. I met her when I went to art school. She did like comics as a kid. She did have a small collection. I got to see some of her Dazzler and Spider Woman and stuff
Hmm.
from that sort of that same time period. But then she was also just really encouraging of me, doing my own thing and wanted to be part of it. And I
Hmm.
mean, she's super smart and literary. At the time, she was getting her PhD, but she's since then become a novelist as well as,
Hmm.
I've roped her into co-writing some graphic novels with me and editing a
Yeah.
lot of my stuff. So yeah, she's just been a big help. And it's good to have the perspective of somebody who's just a little bit outside of the industry too. They're not
Right.
just like so like through and through. Um, it opens it up. We've done things that are a little more literary, the
Right.
embodied anthology, um,
Yeah, you
things,
have a
things.
very diverse content that I've seen.
Yeah, that's what we've tried to do. In some ways, it's harder to establish a brand identity, especially doing one-off graphic novels or anthologies. Everything's different each time.
Yeah.
I think we have a little bit of a bent. Um, and I've tried to focus it more, but it's hard because if I see something that's really cool and unique and has something original to say, like I don't care that much what the
Hmm.
genre is. I mean, it could be horror, music, kung fu. We've done fantasy and sci-fi, so it does sort of keep changing in that sense. But yeah, I mean, we go for really good stories that have something unique to say and just try to do quality books each time.
You're a literal like mom and pop comic
Mhm.
publishing, basically.
Yeah, yeah. We've kind of gone for that with our branding a little bit too, because I think at some point people might have been getting confused that we were more of a corporate entity or trying to grow in that direction or something. And I'm just like, no, this is really
Mm.
like I do this from here. This is a way for the world right
Yeah.
here. I have some staff remotely and things like that, but this is
Yeah.
really just done. Wendy and I as a couple, our kids, Lucy and Maddie, have been involved from the beginning. I mean, everybody that works with us, we sort of consider family. And yeah, we're trying to do this like a real mom and pop type
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, has being a father
Mm.
changed the way you approach your projects now, or do you want to do something that's geared towards them, maybe?
I'm starting to do that now. It's funny, there's a bit of a lag. And I think that's how creativity works, is the things you experience, it takes you a little while before you can process it and have it come out as a creative work. Because when my first daughter was first born, I was doing mostly mature stuff. I mean, we did American Terrorist when she was like first born, because I don't know, I guess I had like politics and the future of the country on my mind, and more angst and things like that. And it wasn't until I started growing up and I just did my first YA title, came out in September.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't until like a couple of years ago that I was like, oh, I want my kids to be able to read my stuff, or people of that age group. And isn't it a shame that like when I go somewhere, a convention or a store, like I have to make sure the kids don't open the book because they might see something. And I wanted to have more of that content. So we've been, as the industry has also been going towards YA and middle
Yeah.
grade,
Yeah.
we've been growing in that area as well. Yeah.
Let's talk about Orphan King.
Okay, great.
Um, there's I really love the book, actually. I
Oh,
read
thank
it,
you. Yeah.
and it's like it's a mix of like King Arthur's legend, isn't it? A little
It's
bit.
it's a real like twist on it, not just telling or reimagining. It's just sort of taking the basic concept and being like, I really want to take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't even name him. He very much is like King Arthur type character, but I renamed
Right.
him Caden and renamed a lot of the characters and
Right.
mixed it around a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean,
yeah.
it,
I mean, the main thing I wanted to be different is that he doesn't become king.
right.
And we'll find out what happens in the book. But he
that's
comes back, and instead of just pulling a sword from the stone and being like, "You're king now," he's like, he's too late. The kingdom's been destroyed, and he's got a sword, but he's just wandering around this destroyed kingdom and on the run, and he's no longer royalty. So he's got to learn and to make his way in the world without being special.
And how long are you planning to do this series? Because I see that you're planning a sequel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the sequel definitely doesn't answer the longer questions. What I tried to do with the first volume was give it the opening adventure on its own, kind of wrap that up, but also put in place the long, storyline of figuring out what happened to his family and where is his mother and things like that. And so that's definitely not even going to be wrapped up after volume 2, because of the way that I set it up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to sort of continue his adventure as he makes his way down, towards where the new empire is being built. He'll learn a lot about his land and a lot of different lessons, both in the flashback and in the current day. So, I mean, to answer your question, I don't know. I would have a feeling it actually need to be at least 5 to get me to where I'm going, but some of it might just be the success of it. I think probably number 2, much like movies, the second one goes a long way to figuring out whether there'll be a lot more or if you'll be done. The first one sold pretty well. I mean, not like gangbusters didn't become the new sensation or anything, but I was very happy with the sales, and I was like, well, we'll definitely do number 2 and see how that does. So,
So you don't have like an end game in sight. Like
I have more of the end game in sight than I have exactly the pieces that get us there. And just how elaborate that can be. I mean, if I wanted to, I could just be like, well, we'll do 3 and be done, right? And I could get us there a lot faster. He'd be like, I have one more middle adventure, and then the finale, at the Empire and everything like that. But I'd much rather do 5, 6. I don't know. We'll sort of see. I'll judge as I write, because I'm writing volume 2 number right now, so I know that only takes us so far. But then I'll decide, maybe I have to speed things up with number 3 or conclude at number 3, or maybe I'll just keep doing fun. Some of it'll just be how it feels to me, and some of it will be like, do I think this will sell well enough to keep going for a while? So that's my best answer for you.
Print or digital? What do you feel you get your sales best in?
Oh, it's definitely still print. No question. In terms of selling digital copies, like $9.99, whatever, download, you have this, read it on Comixology, you have the PDF, that's really slow and lagging behind. Like the sales just do not match print sales. Where you can really build your audience is more of the subscription sites, free sample or put the first chapter up free, where it's like a much smaller cost per reading or somebody subscribing. So we've been doing more of those sites where it's like we don't get nearly as much for the page read or whatever. It's kind of like a Spotify with music or things like that. Right. So that's growing, and that's probably where it's going. And you'll just kind of, the good thing is if you're building your audience, it's always better to have, 10,000 people reading your book than 1,000, even if you're not quite getting as much money. Because there's just potential for this continued growth of audience, and eventually they might buy something or a merchandise or something like that. So, we'll see. I mean, personally, I love for people to read it digitally, because as printing is getting more expensive, paper shortage, shipping is more expensive, international shipping is becoming more of a headache. I'm just like, please just read it digitally. For me, that's great. But I mean, I still love print myself, and I love.
I love the feeling of the paper, in my hand.
I just love to look at it on paper and just actually hold it in my hand and not just stare at my screen like I would a social media video or something like that. It's just different. So I don't know if that's something people will grow out of or not,
right?
Or it'll just always be something special about reading and about art that you can see it as well. So
Did
uh,
the pandemic hit your company hard?
well, um, I mean, there's definitely some difficulties and some challenges. Um, I think the strength of our company, and this, even what I'm leaning into even more, is just, the flexibility of it, because it's a small company, and we all work remotely, and we already were doing, you know, working with our staff remotely online, and Zoom wasn't quite the thing yet, but Google Chats and stuff like that. So we were able to just sort of keep things going. Besides not getting our checks from our distributors for a
Right.
few weeks, that was challenging when they just sort of shut down, and I'm just like, okay, there'll be about 6 weeks where we won't have any revenue. Um, we've been used to the ups and downs of that, because when you have a book out or don't, but to just have it shut down for that while was a little rough. But other than that, we just sort of like, we slowed down the pace a little, because there was a bit of a bottleneck anyway, or things were shut down, and then there was a bottleneck. um and that helped defer some of the payments to the creators if everybody's just sort of slowing down. But other than that, we kept things rolling. Just was like, everybody take it easy, be patient with yourself, take your time, we'll do this. Just, don't stress yourself out. That's still my mantra. I've been trying to just okay, only do it when, like, when I can be calm, and just like, that's first, because it gets so hectic. I mean, with kids, I'm talking about just family and kids, dealing with the world in general, and the pandemic, and who's going what and where, and then also
Yeah.
having this whole company to run, like, through the computer.
Right.
um you
Like,
can have just a million balls in the air, right? And you don't want to work like that. You put some of them down, just settle it down, and breathe, and get to work.
when you had the kids home during the pandemic and
Yeah,
homeschooling them and all that,
yeah.
and taking care of the company at the same time, that must have been crazy, right?
That was tough. Yeah, we're still doing that. They're still, I mean, we're getting more used to it, but they're still just taking their Zoom classes and their tutors. And my older daughter goes to see a tutor in person, as well as
Mhm.
doing some classes. But yeah, it's, we've sort of gotten used to it. Um, it's super tiring as well. All right, a few there. So I mean, I think there's this fatigue that you're continually sort of like, there's nothing you can do to change it. Like, it's just going to be like this for a while, but you get used to it, and you get used to waking up and not taking the kids anywhere. Everybody's just staying home, and
Yeah.
we'll work around each other, and make it work the best that we can.
Besides Orphan King, what are you planning to work on, like, personally, like any projects?
So personally, in my writing projects, I am writing 2 long series. The Orphan King, and the one that came out before that was actually Mezzo, which is a Mesoamerican inspired fantasy epic. And volume 1 came out in 2019, and it's taken us a little while, but next year we're finally going to have volume 2 out, and I'm excited for that. And that's another one that I see being about five volumes, and I'm writing volume 3. Right. So right now I'm in volume 3 of Mezzo and volume 2 of The Orphan King. And I just love those 2 series so much that I'm pretty happy with focusing most of my energy on that. That being said, I am also co-writing a middle grade and a young adults graphic novel with my wife as well. I'm working with her, so she's going to do a YA and a middle grade. So co-writing, it's more like she sort of puts the main ideas out there and down, writes almost more prose style, and I put it into like a script and stuff. So
Have you decided to do any more art?
That's something I struggle with. I would love to do art, but I mean, as anybody knows who does art, that's a full-time job unto itself. And I'm already struggling trying to figure out how to write my own stuff and run a company. So I mean, I used to try to do like hold some time to do drawing or just be like, even if I just do an hour a day just to keep it going and things like that. But it's honestly became too much for me. So I do love to draw, and I love to draw sketches and books or just a little sketching on my own. But I just really I can't. Much as I would love to, and it pains me to say it. I just can't put any structured drawing on my plate right now.
Right.
Someday I would love to. Maybe when the kids are older and we're not in a pandemic, maybe I can start with some short stories or something like that. I would love to get into it. But so somebody, I just saw somebody, I forgot the artist, is like 95 and is like, I haven't done my best work yet. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be me. I'll just be like the retired comic artist, like when I'm older. That's when I'll draw.
Yeah.
So,
But you also edit all these other books for your company, right?
yeah. And again, I keep having to ask myself, is this worth it? It is fun, but it's a whole new world, even if you're not writing it. I mean, you take Bloody Hell that just came out, and I loved editing that with Clay, because he wrote a great script, and he really just, he's an illustrator, artist by trade, and so I just really kind of got in that world and got to get my head into that world and just talk him through some things. And then, I mean, I did mostly cuts, just being like, you know what, you don't need all this kind of like thing. It's funny when an artist fills up their pages with word balloons and you're like, no, let your art do the talking, which he did such a great job of. But yeah, I've done that. I'm doing that with, some of Wendy's projects and other things. So every once in a while, creator owned project will come around, and if I'm going to publish it, then I want to read it. And if I read it, I'll probably have some thoughts about it. I feel like it's if you give a pig a pancake book here. If I do this, then I'm going to do this. And that's how I just end up doing all this thing, is it's like I'm almost a one-man band. I mean, I'm not. There's no disrespect either to my wife or the staff that I have on here. But I mean, I just, from start to end of the process, I've got my hands on everything. And so, yeah.
Well,
it keeps me busy, but
being so busy, being a dad and
yeah,
running a business, what makes you geek out right now? What are you geeking out over? Could be movies, TV, books, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just been loving I don't get to watch a lot of TV, but I've just been loving the Marvel TV shows. Hawkeye just started, and
Oh yeah.
I was able to spread out the first two because they dropped the first two, and I spread that out. But then I just watched the second episode like Wednesday, and I'm just like, now I have to wait a week again. So I've been watching some of the streaming stuff. There's some good stuff coming out. Cowboy Bebop we were watching, and so I like to do that. There's some great comics, a lot of indie comics, so I read those. I just love that kind of stuff. I keep up with Valdo Hoy, Mad Cave, just getting some of those, really even Image, I don't want to like there's some good stuff that they do. So yeah, I love that. And I mean, I buy old comics still too, so it's all comics. Besides like a TV show, it's all comics. So it's either collectible old comics, the new stuff that's coming out, or making my own, or artwork, original artwork, or commissions.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I don't know if you know, Zoe Thorogood did Impending Blindness of Billy Scott. That was one of my favorite graphic novels that have come out in the last year, and I got a page that's supposed to be coming from After Thought Bubble, original art page of that I'm excited to get that in, because that's been a market that's been zooming up too. So I've had to go more indie on that, because all the Marvel stuff and DC stuff is super expensive now.
Very, very expensive.
Some of the other things,
especially every time a new movie comes out, this keeps raising the prices too.
And that's why I've been selling some of my comics, is I'm just like, if this, I love my old comics, but if the first appearance of so and so in a TV show, I'm like gonna sell it if it's 1,000. It's crazy just how many like $1,000 books I have. I'm sorry if this sounds like a bad. It's not. I mean, it's not. But just like, I mean, I used to buy these comics for 30, 50, $100 back in the 90s or whatever. and like I knew they would kind of go up a little, or figured they would, but and it's all just first appearances. So like 90% of what I have has only gone up like a little, but
Right.
every first appearance has just been like you like the Agatha Harkness is $1,000 now.
I
I'm
know.
like,
I know. Who
okay.
would have thought?
It's like I'm gonna sell my Fantastic Four 94 for $1,000.
Yeah.
The first Black Knight, I had Avengers 48. I mean, all of this stuff. It's like, so
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't care.
Marvel's gonna use every character. It seems like they're gonna
Yeah,
translate.
and that's why I have to be a little skeptical. Much as I love it myself, it's like there's gonna be a saturation point. I mean, come
Right.
on. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying all of a sudden Marvel will suck and everyone will hate the TV shows or something like that, but it's like, who are we buying this for? Who's going to be the next generation to be this excited about Black Knight and Agatha Harkness and,
Well,
all these other people? I don't know. So
when you start seeing like movie adaptations of like Dark Hawk and like
yeah,
Walker,
I'm glad I almost threw those out. I remember at one point I was moving and I was like, Dark
I
Hawk
have those still.
#1. I should just throw this out, but I didn't because and so like I'm glad because I'll someday they'll have a Dark Hawk movie here.
Zac Efron or something.
Yeah, no, totally. So you just never know. Yeah.
Speaking of Hollywood, has any bite from Hollywood with any of your projects?
There's been some bites. Yeah, I can't talk about anything yet. It'll be coming up.
Good.
But I mean, bites. That's how it starts. You get some bites. You hope it's something. Maybe not. Maybe it will. And we do have an agent now, which is great. It's funny because I started off so indie in comics and didn't need an agent or blah blah blah.
Right.
Now I just love my agents because it's like they take care of things. I love my lawyer and my agents. It's like, you guys are wonderful. Please take good care of me. But this guy's really cool, and he's made some big deals. If you know the series Canto, IDW put it out. He worked for David Boer, who wrote that, and made a big deal for him. So that was great to see, and now he's out there just trying to get some stuff for us. So we'll see.
Because one book I think would look awesome as a movie was like Bloody Hell.
Mm-hmm.
The book. That just looks so cinematic to me. It would just work.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. That actually wouldn't be me because I do creator owned, and if someone does a creator owned with me, they have their own media deals, so that would be on Clay. But I totally agree that.
But Orphan King also would be an awesome series,
or a TV show or something. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally into that idea. I mean, I do comics for the sake of comics, and that's what it's always for. But of course, I would be excited, both for the notoriety of the project and just to see, just because it would be fun to see. But yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, there have been talks, there have been conversations here and there, and we'll have some news early in the new year, but nothing like crazy yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope so, because they're gonna run out of comics to adapt sooner or later.
Well, I'm just waiting for the shift away from superheroes since I haven't done
Right.
superheroes.
Yeah, well,
The other genres of the comics. Want some swords?
I mean, Swords and Sandals is pretty popular too,
Yeah. So
You ever thought about doing like a prose novel, like a long form novel?
Back in the day, I don't know. I don't know that I have the motivation. Just because I'm so versed in comics,
Mhm.
and it is a different craft. And I've seen my wife doing it because her first novel comes out in just over a year. And she's just been doing redrafts over redrafts. And so, I mean, that's both like intimidating, but also like, yeah, I mean, I could do that. I mean, you understand the work, but it's such a different craft that I'd really have to change my focus from, I mean, I write so minimally because I never want to get in the artist's way, but you still write a story with feeling and, I mean, you just want something that can translate to a visual story. I mean, that's what I see in comics. I'm not trying to write a story that will be drawn. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to write something for the visuals, for the
Right.
artist to draw, and then I'll definitely like come in with some dialogue here and there where it needs to move along. But that's just the opposite approach, where you're writing it all out so somebody can picture it, in their mind. So, um, it's not like you say that and I think no, never, I would never do it, but I just not in the mindset for that right now. I wouldn't even know what I would have to do to get there.
Well, for instance, for Orphan King, did
Mhm.
you help design the characters, or did you depend on the artist to do all the design work?
Well, I described the characters and what I saw from them, but I didn't, other than some notes about the armor and the sword hilt and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I didn't really get too much into that. So yeah, that was James
Mm-hmm.
Boyle, the artist on that, who really drew what in there. So um,
I mean, it had a distinct look. I like the artwork in that book a lot.
yeah, I like James' style, and it was fun to see him work on this because I'd seen some fantasy covers that he had done, and then he did like a tarot deck and stuff, and so I kind of want to get that sort of feel into this. I thought he was a
The
great fit.
covers are beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I can tell he's a slight strength. He does like comics and storytelling. He does have a slight strength in illustration
Mhm.
and images. Not like fine art illustration, which is why it's a good fit for fantasy. Um, but yeah, I mean, he absolutely knocked it out of the park for the book cover for this first volume. It's going to be
Yeah,
a challenge now because now the bar is set. I'm going to be like,
right.
James, you need to do something as good as that first cover for volume 2. So.
So in
on
the other
that.
books in the series, he's gonna grow older and progress. The character, I mean,
Um,
like he's gonna be adult, or he's
no, it's going to be
gonna,
pretty quick. The current timeline. So it started 4 years ago when he went to the island. I mean, that's a flashback. So the
right.
flashback will progress over those 4 years. So you'll see him from like 10 to 14,
Oh,
but in the flashback as a learn. But this current, no, it's going to happen like over a couple months, I would say, for
oh,
him just
so in the next 5 books, he's not gonna be like an adult or something.
no, it's all pretty quick. At most I'd say a year to finish up this adventure that he has to go on, because that's the main storyline, is to go figure out this
So
adventure.
you don't plan on doing like a flash forward to show him as an adult, or
That would be something entirely different. I mean, like I said, I might do this first overarching storyline in like 5 volumes, but he's only going to be about a year older at the end of
right?
that. But maybe the next thing I do with the character will be a flash forward to, okay, what's he doing now as an adult, because this is only going to be 14 to 15. So
Ah, okay.
um,
I see what you.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
hmm. Yeah, but we will see that growth in the flashback. Is
Mhm.
This first book, you really only just saw his first couple days
Yeah.
on the island. Um, and
Are
yeah, I
we
mean, that's going to be a big part of it going forward, the lessons that he learns and how he applies that to his adventures.
we're introduced to a couple of fantastical creatures.
Mhm.
Were these based on original ideas, or were these like creatures like from other like myths or books or anything?
No, I mean, we really just made them up for what we needed. The first mythical creature was the ferryman, actually, that took him
Mhm.
across. And James sort of just drew him like that. I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna have a sea creature for a ferry.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really write him to be like a creature, but he was just like, yeah, this guy's gonna be like I don't know what he looks like a creature of the Black Lagoon, almost like fish like character. And that was like, so the first foray into the really like fantasy side of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know how to live up for that for a little bit. So in number 2, when he's at the castle, I mean, I just came up with these creatures as well, which are little like porcupiney, squirrel, jumpy
Right.
creatures. They're more animal than anything
Look
else.
like a little bit of like rats too.
Yeah. And there was just how James drew them too, like, because I kind of had one thing in my mind and he had, it was a little different, but it totally worked.
And
Um, And then I invented a creature. We just needed sort of like a scary creature at the end, and I wanted to do some like combo, so I just made up my own. It was like an owl and a lion or something. I forgot what the feet are.
And
And I was just like, and then I just completely made up the name. Like I found like old words that meant like owl or things like that, and sort of twisted some. That's what I do. Like I Wikipedia a few things, get
Mhm.
some odd terms and foreign language terms, and switch the letters around a little bit, and I'm like, new creature. There you go. New name. Um, and yeah, just sort of made that up. And then that was about it for the first volume. But we're
Right.
gonna have fairies and dragons in volume 2. So I mean, we'll get that side of things. So
Any more original creatures? Because I actually like your original creatures.
oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I'll have to keep thinking of them, you know. I mean, I get to a point in the script that I'm just like some undetermined TBD creature, you know, and I just move on and then I kind of come back to it. But yeah, I think well, that's the thing about the Haunted Hills. Like it'll give us a chance to expand a bit more on that fantasy side to it that you only got a taste of in volume 1. I really want to open that up before we get into more of the war ending type thing.
And fans of this show, you can pick up a Wave Blue World books at awbw.com. You can buy the books directly on the website, right?
Yeah, you buy them directly from me, and then we even have options to select signed by me for like the Orphan King. You can select signed by me, and I'll send them out myself right here.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in their Gemini mailer, sign it, tape it off, and it's all very well. I know how to pack books; they come safe.
Do you do any Kickstarters for your projects, or
Yeah, I think I've done 6 now.
you have one coming up?
We have one, I think, believe in March. Yep, but I
Okay.
haven't announced it yet. But you know, you can find me. I mean, it's actually Tyler and Wendy Chintanner because we did it before we thought to name it after the company. But I'm on Kickstarter, and you can follow me there, or you can just, you know, if you're following us on social media, you'll certainly see that we're going to launch one by
You
March of next year.
planning on going any cons soon?
Yeah, not until June, which I hope it's safe by then. I'm so glad I did not sign up for any of these December
Right.
conventions. I also
Yeah.
want to cut out the flying for some time too. So next year I'm doing 4 shows, but I'm not going to fly to any of them. Heroes Con in June, which I'm super excited about. That'll be great. New York Comic Con and Baltimore Comic Con, and then I'm going to do the ALA. That's not really a convention, the Library Association, but you got to do that, you know, especially with YA. Got to go talk to those librarians,
Yeah.
get them to order your books. So, yeah, I'll do those shows in 22.
We got to worry about this new Omicron now.
Yep, yes, we do.
sounds
That's
like a transformer, right?
Yeah, we went from a airline to a transformer. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. What's next?
I don't know. We could write a graphic novel, and these could be the creatures. And we do like, Omicron fights the Delta variant, and nobody would buy it because they don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear any more about that. Yeah, it's an interesting world, interesting time. We're just trying to do the best, you know, we can, both in terms of decisions as a publisher and as creators. So I hope we get some. I don't expect a pure, you know, cure and we're going to be done with it and it's a thing of the past. But
Mhm.
hopefully it'll get to a manageable point where we're like, all right, well, we've learned to live with this, and you know, as long as you're careful, relatively careful, you know, your odds are pretty good. So
Yeah. Well,
that's it.
like I said, check out all of these great titles at A Wave Blue World at awbw.com. And you can find his work also on Comicology and any other sites you want to mention.
Well, I mean, there's social media. If you're on Twitter, it's just A Wave Blue World. Same with Instagram. In terms of sites, there's Spinwiz, there's graphic comics. Oh crap, I forgot. No, global comics. Crap, I don't remember. Sorry, there's a few digital ones that we're on. But yeah, awbw.com. That's pretty easy to remember. I think you can find everything from there.
Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you: how did you come up with the name?
I was in art school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in art school at the time, and I just knew I was gonna like. I mean, I came up with my own imprints. I literally was doing this as like an assignment in art school. In not even my third year, in my second year of art school, I just start making this comic, and I make my own imprints, and it's a spin-off of Brave New World, the Shakespeare quote and the Aldous Huxley book, because I knew that was kind of the feeling I wanted to go, this, allegory for society, things like that. And yeah, it's just a pun off of, it's just a silly pun, and off of Brave New World. And here I am 16 years later, still publishing under that name. So, go figure.
And I hope you keep publishing for another 16 and more.
At least, yes, I'll be here. Let's schedule another one for 16 years from now.
Yes.
Actually, just kidding. Let's do this, whenever you want. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, when you're ready to do the Kickstarter, we'll try to do it again. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll reach out to you for that. That'd be fantastic.
Just because the show ends doesn't mean the fun has to end. We're now on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We want to hear from you. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like about the show. Help us. We want to work together with you. So, check us out.